What's going on? What's going on, man?
Working hard. How are you?
I'm doing really good, man. You ready to get this thing started, man?
Let's get this party started.
All right. What's good, everybody? It's your boy, Bigbabyjonathan here. Welcome to the latest edition of the Bigbabyjonathan Sports Podcast Show. And on the line right now, I got Brandon Robinson. How's it going, Brandon? I'm doing good, man. So, obviously, Lakers are 14-2. How do you think the team is playing?
I think they're doing well. That Memphis game was a bit sloppy, but they ended up getting, out of Memphis FedEx Forum alive. And but I think that the core of Anthony Davis and LeBron James are definitely working their magic. But what I'm finding interesting is Kentavious Caldwell-Pope finally finding a groove. I definitely think Lakers fans are hard on Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, and it's a process. I spoke to Kentavious last week, man, and I sent him a word of encouragement. Told him, hey, man, keep doing your thing, keep moving, keep grooving. And he's the king of the one-word answer. He sent me a thanks with the praying emoji. But, he must be praying because he's really becoming fundamentally sound and a catalyst in the Lakers' help department. And then you got guys like Danny Green and, other guys. But, I mean, the two games that they lost, that's two games that, the first game they lost to the Clippers, they were supposed to lose that game because they were a brand new team. The Clippers, in an extent, definitely were more of a cohesive team with many of those guys on that team coming back from last season and adding, Kawhi Leonard and Paul George was out. But the Lakers are getting better. They're improving. I like what I see on the floor.
Yeah, me too, man. I just like the team in general. Defense is – I know a couple games we give up 100 points here and there, but when we locked in, man, this Laker defense is scary to watch, in my opinion.
I agree.
Like what Frank Vogel does over there, man. They bought in early because normally when you buy in early, it's really good. Sometimes it takes a team to get used to the coaching system for a couple of months.
For sure, man. It's a process.
Yeah.
Difficult takes a day, impossible takes a week. They're in a process. They're in a grind mode. And they're gelling, and, they're finding their groove. I think the other thing that's been great about the Lakers is the emergence of Dwight Howard, former slam dunk champion. I have Nate Robinson coming on the Scoopy Radio podcast that drops on Tuesday. We talked about the emergence of Dwight Howard and what he's been able to do. And, what Dwight is finding his own is one of the league leaders in blocks alongside Anthony Davis. I talked to Anthony a couple times in September and earlier this month. And championship is Anthony's goal. The Defensive Player of the Year award is also his goal. But, to have that mindset and not just Anthony, but in Dwight, definitely good for team morale. And I like Dwight. I think that San Antonio game, he stepped up. I was at that Utah game at Staples, played decently. And so I just want to see the Lakers continue to get better and figure out what they're going to do with that roster spot.
Yeah, man, Dwight Howard's been playing tremendously defensively. His offense is coming from time to time. But you said you talked to Anthony Davis. What was that report about him going to Chicago? Can you kind of elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, so I was in Chicago. Nike had this function at this restaurant called Lulu's. And basically, Anthony Davis had brought in his AAU team because he's from Chicago, as well as people from his high school, Visions. And basically what happened was there was a Q&A with the kids who were there, and they asked them a question like, hey, how cool would it be, to maybe join the Chicago Bulls, I don't think it was malicious. It was just a question. And, you know how things can be taken out of context. And basically what was said was, he said, hey, would you ever play for the Chicago Bulls? And he was like, what did he say? I haven't had my afternoon coffee. I'm sorry. He said, I am a free agent this offseason. And, us reporters were there when it was said, and it was great for clicking purposes. But the reality is he is a free agent this summer. And, he has love for the Chicago Bulls. I wrote an article over at heavy.com where he discussed, the financials of, or I discussed the financials of how the Bulls could make it work. But I mean, right now, I don't think his focus is free agency. His focus is winning a championship, as he stated all along. And it was great for the clicks, but we are a long ways off from that.
Do you think Anthony Davis is going to re-sign?
Well, when I make predictions, I get in trouble. I'll say I hope he resigns.
Okay. Well, I feel like he's going to re-sign, because why would you want to go to Chicago? You're playing with LeBron. Like, if Anthony Davis does leave and goes to Chicago, he just wants to play at home. But playing with LeBron is great. Like, I want play with LeBron. AD.
It's great, but I'll add this: him playing for the Bulls, if that were to happen, I like that team. I have a close connection with the Bulls. I just wrote an article that released today over at Heavy.com. I spoke with Kobe White, and basically. That team is a young team under Jim Boylan. You got Zach LaVine, who dropped 13 threes the other night. Wendell Carter Jr., who has told me he wants to improve his jumper or his offensive game overall. You have a Thaddeus Young. You have the Bulls have a young core. Say the Lakers were to win a championship this season, that would be to go from the Lakers to the Bulls. That some may argue that's like going from filet mignon to hamburger helper as it relates to you winning a championship and then you want to start over. Even when you look at somebody like Kawhi Leonard, he left the Toronto Raptors after winning a championship, but he went to another championship contender with the Clippers.
True, yeah. But for me, I don't understand. Staying with the Lakers, it should be the main goal, championships. Agreed. But he'll be like the face of the franchise after LeBron leaves, and we could build around AD.
Yeah, I see your point, but you as a journalist, you got to look at it from both sides. So you ask me, do I think he's going to the Lakers or do I think he's going to the Bulls? I hope he stays with the Lakers. They have a good team on the floor. But then, having spent time with the Bulls, I see their future. So, it seems more realistic that he'll resign with the Lakers. We'll see what happens. It's a long season ahead.
Yes, it's a long season, man. And what is your thoughts about Carmelo Anthony going to the Blazers, and how do you think it's going to fit?
I'm happy for Melo.
Portland.
I spent some time with Melo a few weeks ago, and I asked him if he was returning to the NBA this season. He said 2,000%. A week later, signs with the Portland Trailblazers. At the time of this recording, they're in Chicago at the United Center playing the Bulls, and hope to see him get some string of wins going. I mean, he's finding his game. 3 games, he's averaged, I think, or posted 10 points here, 13 or 18 points there. But he's also done it in Damian Lillard's absence. He returned Monday night. Damian Lillard returned Monday night against the Portland Trailblazers, and we'll see what happens. But them signing Melo, some may argue, was more about the Blazers than it is about Melo, which. It's a shame that it's taken this long for him to sign with a team. I'm glad he did. But I think it's going to take some time. I actually do think that Melo, signing with Portland helps them because, they couldn't retain Enes Kanter, who ended up going to the Boston Celtics. So I like him in Portland. I want to see him be successful, and he's definitely playing for that next contract. If he stays on that team through January 7th, his contract is guaranteed. Mm-hmm.
So it's like a Dwight Howard thing.
Just like Dwight Howard. Yeah, he makes about, I think, $1,400 a day. And if he stays through January 7th, it's a guaranteed contract. So maybe he needed that level of motivation to do what he needs to do, just like Dwight did. But I'll add, Melo has more of an inclusive role within the Portland system in this instance than Dwight Howard does in L.A.
Yeah, because the Lakers, for Dwight Howard, is just play defense, rebound, run the floor. It's come off the bench real quick, play quick. And then Carmelo's you're involved. He's starting. I would start him when Damian Lillard comes back. You know what I mean?
Right.
Have that lineup of C.J. McCollum, Lillard, and Carmelo. That's a competitive team. But with number 27, Nurkic, right? From Portland, right?
Nurkic. When he comes back, he'll be back sometime in the new year.
Yeah, so I feel like that team's going to get going, but I don't know, man. I just feel like Portland's going to be a team that people need to start watching because they're going to be winning some games very soon.
For sure.
But real quick before I get up on here, man, give me your top 3 most improved players so far this year.
I like Jonathan Isaac in Orlando. Defensively, he's playing exceptionally well. Orlando, I got a chance to check them out in the preseason. 2 games against the Celtics in Orlando and against the Sixers in Orlando. And, the addition of a healthy Markelle Fultz and Aaron Gordon Moore could pay dividends. Who else? I think as a team, I'll say that I like what the Phoenix Suns are doing. They're playing good basketball. Had new head coach in Monty Williams, Devin Booker, and they're playing well without DeAndre Ayton, who's was suspended for 25 games for PED. So I hope to see them continue that level of play. And then Andrew Wiggins, who's many people questioned whether he would pan out, playing well in Minnesota. I like what they're doing, and if I can add a bonus team overall, it will probably be the Miami Heat as a team. Kendrick Nunn is playing lights out. Jimmy Butler came in the offseason, and really, I think Miami has a chance to do well in the Eastern Conference if they play the way that they've been playing, minus their game against the Sixers the other day. But yeah, man, I like Miami. I like what they're doing. I like Phoenix, and individually, I like what Andrew Wiggins is doing, as well as Jonathan Isaac of the Orlando Magic.
For me, man, it's Brandon Ingram. Brandon Ingram's playing tremendously in the Pelicans. Number 2, I say Siakam from Toronto. And then number 3, Luka Doncic. Luka Doncic is playing really well. I won't be surprised if he's in the MVP conversation. And let me get real quick. There was a rumor out there from Spurs Talk that Miami is interested in Aldridge and DeMar DeRozan. They might try to trade for him.
So what are you asking me? Do I know anything about it?
Yes.
I don't know anything about it in that iteration of it, but what I'll say to you is over the summer there were teams that were interested in DeMar DeRozan. The Knicks were one of them. I reported something. I tweeted it back in like July or August. I don't remember all the teams, but there were a significant amount of teams that did have interest in DeMar DeRozan, the Knicks being one of them. And I think the Chicago Bulls were another team that was interested in that report as well. So, things change. The Spurs are going through kind of like a slow start, and the NBA is an 82-game season, but trade rumors begin to start around this time, and a lot of contracts that were signed in the summertime, you could officially start making trades in December. So it'll be a lot of talk. I know a thing or two about just chatter, and this seems to be the beginning of it around Thanksgiving time. So we'll see what happens. I don't know anything about Miami per se, but I will tell you that over the summer, the Chris Paul talk to Miami was something that was discussed at great length when Chris Paul was traded to the Oklahoma City Thunder. I was with Russell Westbrook the day he was traded, and they were talking about that ad nauseum from then on. And Miami is looking and is anxious to make some moves. That has been looking and anxious to make moves, and many believe that once those trades become official in December, or rather once those contracts are set in stone in December, Miami could be a key player going into the trade deadline. We'll see. What's interesting is Miami's doing very well right now. Will they still make that move? We'll see. But the Chris Paul situation, probably it looks like it won't happen because Miami is very sold on Tyler Hero.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting. I think the contracts, you can start trading December 15th, I believe, right?
Yes, because December 15th is when that whole process starts.
Yeah, it's going to be same with my Lakers, man. I won't be surprised if they try to do a trade, but you never know what Rob Pelinka's doing. But I got to ask you this, ask everybody on my podcast, what is your thoughts about load management?
I'll tell you like this. I said this on another show. If you paid attention to my social media over the last 3 months, I've been traveling a lot more than usual. And I'm tired. And while being tired, I was still home or in my hotel room or wherever, writing and interviewing. I'm human. I don't have as much writing done as I'd like to. And probably because I took the time to take rest. I think people forget that NBA players are still human beings. And I think what gets lost in translation is, in addition to playing games for their respective teams, there's travel. So take, for example, say hypothetically, right? At the time of this recording, it's Monday. I don't know the schedule per se, but hypothetically, say the Portland Trailblazers end Monday night, and they have to play Memphis next, right?
Mm-hmm.
That means they leave the United Center, they go to the airport, around 11, 12 o'clock. They may land in Memphis at 2, 3 o'clock. So they have to play the Grizzlies. They have a day off Tuesday. They play the Grizzlies Wednesday. I don't think people take into account flights. They don't take into account time zones. They don't take into account talking to media, maybe spending time with family in that respective city. There's so much more than just stepping on a basketball court and playing. But this is what you signed up for. So, you play an 82-game season. Even getting on a plane, Jonathan, like your legs get cramped up, your legs get tired, then you get off the plane and you do training. There's so much more that goes into it than just playing basketball. And to answer your question about load management, maybe they should lower the amount of games that are played in the season or spread them out. But, I remember the 99 lockout season, the 99, 2000, I think it was 98, 99 season or 98, 99 season. I mean, there were teams that were playing 3 games and 4 nights sometimes. So we've come a long way since then. But, these guys have the pressure of making a ton of money and contorting their bodies in a certain way. And, something's got to give. And I think that, the Clippers, you got to make sure that Doc Rivers' statements are adding up to what the scouting report is or what the medical report is that day. That's why they got fined $50,000. So, load management is nothing new. Greg Popovich is one of the guys that was resting players. And, I also think that even if they were to abolish load management, they'll just come up with another name. So I think it's something that's going to be here for a while, and people are going to continue to talk about it.
Yeah, man, because people are getting on Kawhi for like not playing against a certain good team, and then he'll play against a bad team, and everybody's saying he's soft and stuff. It's like I understand what you're saying, Brandon Robinson, because it's like they play these games, they're sore. I mean, it's okay to rest. It's a long season, so I wouldn't be surprised if LeBron and AD start to do that towards like the middle of January, February, around there. I would not be surprised if they
because I think that when you look at LeBron and AD, I mean, you look at the hot start that the Lakers have going right now.
Yeah.
People forget the Lakers were playing decently last season, and then LeBron got hurt on Christmas Day. So you asked me what do I think about the Lakers? They're playing cool. I think Christmas changed things last season, and this season, I'm not wishing any ill will on him, but you want to find time for LeBron, particularly at 35, to find some rest. I think he's in tip-top shape. I know he's doing what he needs to do. I'm cheering him on. Anthony Davis is young, but LeBron James, I also will acknowledge that he's basically been off since April, so he's had time to do extra conditioning. It's kind of comparatively what Michael Jordan had when he taped Space Jam 1. And he had that Space Jam Dome in L.A., and, he was able to basically embark on the next 3 championships. Houston had won that championship in 95 against Orlando, and, Michael was able to go in and do what he needed to do for 3 years while taping Space Jam. It seems like that same narrative is being written for LeBron, except it was injuries that prohibited him. It was more Michael lost in the Eastern Conference semifinals to the Orlando Magic in 95, and the Magic ended up playing, the Houston Rockets in the 95 finals and lost. That was a Shaquille O'Neal-led Orlando Magic team. So, I look at the Lakers and I look at what LeBron has done. I know that LeBron is really motivated to do what he needs to do. But at the end of the day, I think that it's championship or bust for them. But they got to find time to get some rest in between.
Yeah, I agree with you, man, because it's a long season, man. And I want to thank you, Brandon Robinson, for being on, man. So go ahead and give out your social media and tell them where they can listen to your podcast at.
Oh, yeah. You guys can first and foremost, subscribe to the Scoopy Radio podcast. 3.5 million streams last year, available on all platforms: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, TuneIn app, Stitcher app, iHeartRadio, or simply by visiting scoopbradio.com. We've had anybody from DJ Khaled to Mark Cuban to Jamal Crawford, who's still an NBA free agent, to everybody in between. And you can also follow me on Twitter at ScoopB. That's SCOOP, the letter B. And Instagram and Snapchat is Scoop_B. And make sure to check out all my written work at heavy.com and at Basketball Society online.
All right, Brandon Robinson, it's always a pleasure. Thanks for coming on. I'll talk to you soon.
My man, I'll talk to you. Thanks for having me, brother.
All right.